In the first 6 months of the Pacific War, the Japanese Mitsubishi A6M, known as the Zero, was not a plane. It was a myth. A silver ghost that appeared from nowhere, danced circles around America's best fighters, and vanished, leaving nothing but fire and wreckage in its wake. It was untouchable. It could outclimb, outrun, and, most terrifyingly, outturn anything the Allies had. American pilots were given a simple, chilling order. If you see a Zero, run. For months, no one had captured one intact. No one knew its secrets. Until June 1941, on a remote fog-shrouded island in the Aleutians, a 19-year-old Japanese pilot made a fatal mistake. His name was Tadayoshi Koga. His Zero's oil line was cut by ground fire. He tried to make an emergency landing on Akutan Island, but the flat grass he was aiming for was a swamp. The plane flipped onto its back. The pilot was killed instantly. The plane was almost perfect. 5 weeks later, a U.S. Navy patrol plane spotted the wreckage. A salvage team was sent. They couldn't believe their eyes. It was the Boogeyman, and it was intact. It was carefully loaded onto a barge and shipped in total secrecy to San Diego. The myth was finally going to be dissected. When U.S. Navy engineers and test pilots took the Akutan Zero apart, they were expecting to find a superweapon. They were expecting advanced engineering, exotic materials, a revolutionary engine. Instead, they were baffled. As they peeled back the skin, they looked for the pilot's armor plate. It wasn't there. They searched for the self-sealing tanks, a standard feature on all American fighters that could absorb bullet hits. They weren't there either. Instead, the Zero's wings were literally hollow tanks filled to the brim with high-octane aviation fuel. The plane was a tinderbox. The engineers were stunned. Why would Japan, a first-rate military power, build its #1 fighter with zero protection for the pilot and zero protection for its fuel? It seemed insane. But this flaw was the secret. The Zero wasn't designed to survive a fight. It was designed to win one at all costs. Japanese naval doctrine demanded a fighter that could fly impossible distances, over 1,000 miles, to escort its bombers from land bases or carriers. To achieve that range, the designer sacrificed everything. Armor was heavy. Self-sealing tanks were heavy. They threw it all out. They made the plane's skin part of its own structure, using new, lightweight aluminum alloys, making it incredibly light, but also incredibly brittle. The Zero was a masterpiece of offense and a coffin on defense. It was built with the Bushido mindset. The pilot's life was secondary to the mission's success. Now, the Allies knew its secrets. Lieutenant Commander Eddie R. Sanders was the first American to fly the captured Zero. He put it through its paces. And he found the Zero's fatal flaw. Because it was built so light, its controls locked up at high speeds. In a dive, it became sluggish, almost impossible to turn. And it rolled much faster to the left than it did to the right. The myth was broken. A new combat doctrine was immediately rushed to every pilot in the Pacific. You are not to dogfight a Zero, ever. The rule is, dive on it, use your speed, hit it, and keep diving. It cannot follow you. If it gets on your tail, roll hard to the right. It cannot keep up. New American planes, like the F-6F Hellcat, were built to be the opposite of the Zero, heavy, armored like a tank, and incredibly fast in a dive. The Zero, once a graceful samurai, was now a fragile target. The Akutan Zero, the plane that fell from the sky by a 1 in a million chance, had single-handedly doomed every other Zero in the sky. It had turned Japan's greatest weapon into its greatest liability.